coming through when the growth look good on you. Best believe they wanna screw now. I've been trying to climb, devil threw me in the dark. Baby, don't be insecure, you can still go make a mark like blow. Could never let them drain my soul now. Blow. Table turning like doorknobs, wow. Blow. I think I'm about to set sail. I'm a walking, living legend, walking with my chest out. Life keep dealing me cards, I keep fitting in love.
What's going on, people? What is going on? You already know the ties, you know the vibes already. It's G. We are back in the building. Guys, as per usual, please make sure you do smash that like button. Make sure you share and subscribe to the damn channel. So, why are we here? Why are we here? Now, you know, been off for a couple of days. Apologies, people. I've been a little bit ill. Still feeling a little bit ill, but you know, it is what it is, man. I said, you know what? I saw that Slot obviously come out with his first interview for the club. I said, you know what? I got to come off mute. I got to come off mute for this. Let's see, of course, what he's been saying. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. You know, we've all been waiting. You know, a lot of us, you know, trying to, you know, hope that he's going to come and speak to the media soon, or you know what, not even the media. How about you're just going to come out and say something? Do you know what I mean? You're gonna say something. So I said, you know what, today we're gonna watch the actual interview that he had with Liverpool. Now, obviously, the club ones, and I'm assuming, I haven't seen it. I don't know, you know, what it is, but what I'm assuming is this is just like the club one. So of course, this isn't going to be too candid. Of course, you know, when it's a club one, they're not going to be, you know, too on him. They're not going to really ask him the tough questions as well. To my knowledge, again, I don't know. I haven't actually seen it, so maybe they do, but I don't think they will. I think they'll try and keep it as cool and as calm as possible. You know, make him, you know, just feel welcome and, you know, stuff like that, just to kind of, you know, get his foot in the door. And then, you know, the real interviews, you know, will come at a later date. But ultimately, this is an interview regardless. So I said, you know what, let's kind of, you know, take a look at it, see what he's saying. This is going to be my first reaction. So I'm watching this as live as I'm recording it at this present moment in time. So, you know, I said, let's just see, you know, what's up, and then, you know, take it from there. But other than that, we will also be looking at the fixture list for Liverpool. Obviously, the Premier League fixture list has, of course, come out as well. I've seen a few of the first few fixtures that we've got. Of course, we've got Ipswich on the first first game of the season away. So that will be Slot's first foray into the Premier League. So much to kind of, you know, get through. So guys, please make sure you do smash that like, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's just get into it, man.
Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
First of all, congratulations. Welcome to Liverpool. Can you tell us how you feel at this moment?
I would say energized because of the holiday I had. Excited, really looking forward to the new challenge, which is ahead of me. We're of course looking at the training ground, which is fantastic. So there are a lot of things to look forward to. The team is coming back in a few weeks.
It's like I said, people. I thought it was going to be like a Liverpool one again, make man feel comfortable and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought that would be the kind of vibe. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
And yeah, looking forward to a new start of after a nice period I had at Feyenoord.
Can we get some housekeeping out of the way, because you've heard your name pronounced all kinds of different ways? Let's get that sorted now. I've heard Arnie. How do you pronounce it correctly?
I've heard Arnie as well a few times when I played Celtic. Brendan Rodgers, he a few times called me Arnie. I listened to that name, but we in Holland would call me Arne, which is not an easy one to pronounce. So I listened to Arnie as well, but I would prefer Arne. Yeah.
The Scousers will call you probably all kinds of different names between now and then.
Yeah. As long as it's positive,
it will be positive. Yeah. How you talked a little bit there about how you'd spent that time in between your last club and this. There's been a bit of time between you being announced as Liverpool manager and now. Was that a deliberate thing from your point of view?
I think it is because of a few reasons. First and foremost, maybe the farewell of Jurgen, which was really special from what I saw. It was on the same day I left Feyenoord as well, but I did see a few things. And afterwards there was even a few more farewells from what I saw. So I think it was fair to him and to the club and to the supporters to wait a bit and then to come in. Apart from that, I went on a holiday, like you probably can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think now is a good moment to arrive here and to talk to you. And but let's be clear that I don't start today. I've been a lot in contact with staff members already from people who are working here to the new staff members that are coming in, and of course, almost every day, Richard and me are calling each other because we have to talk. This is also in a very important phase for the new season to make sure the team is ready, and we have to plan the preseason. So a lot of things have been done, but more on the background. And now I'm sitting here in front of you. I think it's a good moment to do it now for the few reasons I just gave you.
How easy is that for you to switch off this really exciting period that now you've started, but that moment where you sit on a sunbed and you're trying to think about the season that's just happened, but also looking forward to the years ahead here at Liverpool as well. Are you somebody that finds it easy to switch off?
No, I don't think if it's me or anyone else ever switches off. But it's been a good few weeks because I can look back at a very nice time at my former club Feyenoord, and really looking forward to go to a club like Liverpool. So there have been summers that it hasn't been this good, because that's also the life of a former football player and a manager. But this summer was really, really nice because of the fact that I left Feyenoord in a good place, and I'm coming to a club that Jurgen left in a good place. So yeah, it's already been a good summer.
Can we talk about Jurgen Klopp, because you do replace an iconic figure? He's clearly somebody that you have huge admiration for.
Yeah, I'm 45 now, watching football for a long time and watching football a lot. And I think there's been an era where everybody looked at the Barcelona side of Xavi, Iniesta, and Messi. The rivalry there was between Real Madrid with Cristiano Ronaldo being there. And I think when that came to an end, the new rivalry in European football came because of Jurgen. He managed Liverpool, and Pep Guardiola, of course, managed the Man City. And I think for everyone who loves football, was a fantastic era to watch the both of them getting the best out of each other. And yeah, I've seen a lot of games of Liverpool, a lot of games of City as well. And when you live in Europe, the Premier League is probably the nicest league to follow. So yeah, he's done a tremendous job over here, and I'm really happy with that as a fan. But now as his successor, I think his successor, we would say. Yeah. He left, like I just said, Liverpool in the best possible way, I think. So very good team. Fans are very good as well. So looking forward to it.
Was it important that you spoke with him? We know that you had a long-standing friendship with Pep Linders, but was it important you spoke to Jurgen?
It's interesting how he, just in the way that he speaks about, talking about the rivalry that, Pep Guardiola had, whilst he was at Barcelona, and then obviously talking about the next rivalry that he's then had with Jurgen Klopp during that period of time. And obviously explaining how, they're both, trying to get the best out of each other. Sorry, it's just interesting. That part I found, a little bit interesting, man, just hearing that, because it shows that, of course, listen, look, you don't have to be a football coach or genius, in order to know these things, because, these are the biggest rivalries, in football. And to be fair, I mean, would I say the Pep versus Klopp era? Would I say that? Yeah, I mean, in terms of, it's such a tough one because in both eras, Pep Guardiola has been far better than his adversary, right? But in the Pep Klopp, I would probably say that has been probably the most exciting. Probably, I'm just trying to think. There hasn't really been anything else, if I'm being totally honest. So you probably would have to say that has actually been, the best, in terms of rivalry. I can't think, and people in the chat, in the comment section, sorry, let me know if you feel like there's been another rivalry that's better. I can't think off the top of my head, but you'd probably say that this one probably has been, really good. Again, obviously, Pep has bested Klopp more often than not, kind of thing throughout this time. But it has been fun to watch in some games. I will admit that definitely has been fun to watch.
Yeah, I did the same with my former clubs when I started over there. But I think if someone worked at a club for 9 years, have been so successful, you want to know all about it from him, and you also want to know things of the players. Although I think it's also important to get my own opinion about that. But all the staff that are staying here, so you can only use all this information he has because he did so well, not only in terms of results, but I think also everybody saw in his farewell, but also the years before that, how popular he was. And he gave me more than a few good tips, but I think what stood out for me was that he was so happy for me, and that he said, and I think he said that in the media as well, that he would be my biggest fan from now on because he supports Liverpool in the best possible way. And you don't see this very often. So it says a lot about his character, the way he handled this situation as well.
It's very important that you're your own man in all of this as well. But we look at your style from what we've seen on TV, your passion for developing elite young players as well. There are a few similarities between you and him, perhaps.
I think there are, and I think that's also one of the reasons why I came in, because I think the way Liverpool scouted me, I don't think if that's the right word to use, but I'm not sure about that. But they were looking for not the exact same type, but I think when something has been successful, a certain way of playing, you would like to extend this or to go on with this, and it's probably one of the reasons why they came to me as well. Yeah, it is my style, but I think it's the style of many modern coaches at the moment, of Guardiola and Klopp. And I think at a big club where I've worked at Feyenoord as well, it is probably the only style you can play, to have the ball a lot, to have a lot of energy. And I think also now there are comparisons between the club I just left behind and the club I'm going to work for now. The fans love to see, both fans love to see a team that wants to do everything to win a game. And if things are tough, they try to do everything to turn the game around. And I think that has been done by Liverpool many times, and it's been done by my former side Feyenoord many times as well.
It is a big change, but
he mentions there about being a side who I'm sure obviously he's not gonna, maybe later on in other press conferences and stuff, maybe we'll speak more about like style of play and pre-season and stuff like that. We will see it, but he speaks there about being a side who like to have the ball and stuff like that. And I guess towards Klopp's last season, the season just gone by, we was a team, obviously we would have a lot of possession of the ball. Now a lot of it I would call idle possession, of course, just kind of just playing it around the back and pass between like Van Dijk, and then you pass it into the DM, whoever that might be, and then he passes it back to him, and then he passes it to Kanate, and then he passes it back, and then Allison might get a touch and stuff like that. So it will be very interesting to see what that style of play looks like going forward. Is it going to be with a bit more impetus? He speaks there again about Guardiola, so I can tell 100% that he really, if I had to guess, like if I genuinely had to guess, I feel like he probably he probably takes his notes more from Guardiola than he does a Jurgen Klopp. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, of course. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that in retrospect, but of course, don't try and take from the guy, who is the leader of this, because the reality is, if you try to copy from the main person, it's never going to work, because it can never be replicated. What Pep Guardiola does is unique. Nobody can do it. He's the only person who can do what he does, so I wouldn't want you to obviously take bits like any manager, I'm assuming, in their position would do. You take little bits. So if he wants to take from a Guardiola, from a Klopp, from whoever, if he wants to do that, then go and do that, not a problem. But from what I'm hearing, and obviously mentions Guardiola, like so far he's mentioned him quite a bit, I feel like he probably has been studying what Guardiola more so than he would be studying a Klopp. Now, not to say that he doesn't have the similarities of what Klopp's playing style is. Of course he does, and again, he speaks about Klopp as well, but it just, from what I'm getting so far is that it just seems like that's where his style of football may lead potentially, is that it won't be Guardiola like it won't be Guardiola 2.0, for example, because again, like I said, you just cannot do that kind of style of football. But there's going to be maybe, I feel potentially, and what I'm hoping is more similarities to that than with Klopp, because I prefer that style of football than Klopp's style of football any day of the week, so to speak. So yeah, it's, again, like I said, it's going to be interesting to see, what he does moving forward with the style of play.
Change is exciting too, isn't it?
It is. It is. You just said it. It's wearing a new jersey. And of course, there's change, but a lot of things are still the same as well. So I think the players are still the same, which is probably the most important thing, because in the end, it comes down to the players. And I think the fans are still the same. So many things are also still the same. Yeah, we're going to try to work on what Jurgen left behind, and we will see a lot of similar things. But of course, I bring my own things to the table as well, and I think that's also what is expected of me.
Your title is officially head coach. What does that mean for you here at Liverpool?
Yeah, for me, it's normal, because this is the way it is in Europe and in Holland. I don't think there's much of a change between a head coach or a manager. It's just about being a head coach. I can fully go into the things I would like to do, so work with the team, prepare the team in the best possible way. And me and Richard are going to work together when it comes to transfers, but not only the two of us. There's a big backroom staff included to this as well. And I think for me, it's the way I've worked always. And for me, it's the ideal way of working, because I can use the most of my time by working with the team, and the time that is left will probably be a bit for the family and a bit to talk with Richard about how we can strengthen the team. But we already have a really strong team. So
can you tell us a little bit?
Again, he's speaking about what we kind of already know in regards to his role, where and he says it there, and it's true around Europe. That's how it is. It's a bit like in La Liga and in most other European countries, they've got like release clauses, put into their contracts. But in England, we don't do that. It's just one of those kind of customs. It's one of those things. So you will see a lot more head coaches around Europe than you would see manager, and then they will have their staff, their director, the transfer committee, who are really the ones who are heavily involved in signing these kind of players. So yeah, I mean, again, like I say, he's just mentioning what we kind of already knew. It's just different because it's at Liverpool now and it's in England, and you don't really always kind of see that. It's usually the manager, he takes kind of care of everything. And then, like with Klopp, when he was here, he kind of took care, of everything towards the back end anyway, before he was working, with a Michael Edwards, but Klopp was still the manager, so however you want to see it, ultimately that power was going to shift at some point in time, because Klopp was the manager. He was never the head coach, so at some point he was going to look at it and say, well, listen, I'm the manager of this whole place, so what I say really should go, ultimately. And you're not going to sack me. And Klopp has mentioned you're never going to sack him, so I'm going to have to leave of my own accord. And if you did try to sack me, you just know that'll be bad for your PR, so the fact that he's just mentioning that there, and that he's already worked under those kind of conditions again, yeah, just really stuff that we already know, stuff that we already kind of, were talking about prior to this interview and stuff like that. So yeah, interesting.
What about when Liverpool's interest became real for you, and there was a possibility of you taking the job, and that moment where you decide that this was the right move for you?
I think those moments are always very private, because nobody needs to know about it. So the first time you hear that Liverpool is interested in you, you have to keep it between me and my wife. I always knew that it had to be a fantastic club where I would leave Feyenoord for. And this was Liverpool and the league as well. So I think it was a year ago, I was in the interest of a few Premier League clubs as well, but I decided to extend at Feyenoord with the idea of staying there 2 more seasons. But after a year, Liverpool came along, and then, yeah, like I just told you about the rivalry between City and Liverpool, and the many games we as football fans saw. It wasn't a difficult choice to make. Although, like I said, I was really happy at Feyenoord, the way I could work there with the fans, with the staff, with the players. But this was a possibility I had to take.
Can you tell us about you then, about your style? Again, I mentioned before that we learn from what we see on TV, but how would you describe yourself as a head coach, your cornerstones?
I think when I come in the first days, in the first week I'm here, I will be really focused on the training ground. I think there is the place where you can influence the most, and you have to influence the most because you have to influence your players coming to game model and your game plan. And I think that's where it's all about, to find a way of playing which suits the players best, and then adjust maybe with the game plan a bit where we can win a few things. But that's all tactical, and I think there's something else towards being a head coach or a manager, the way you want to call it, and that is the relations you have with people, relationship I have with my staff, but also the players, how they get along with each other, and the relation between staff and players. And I think this was one of the things, looking at it from the outside, where Jürgen was great at as well, apart from playing style. And that is a challenge, because I'm 100% sure that many people who are still at this club still love him, and we have to find a way that people get used to me and used to the new staff that's coming in, and get the same energy in this building, and eventually into the stadium as well, because that's where it's all about. We have to perform during the games, but to perform there, I think it's important to have a good idea of how we want to play, and a good energy within the team and within the people who are working at Liverpool.
And it seems from what I've read as well that you take a lot of learning experiences from other sports. It's not just football. You take interest in what you can learn as a coach from different things. Yeah, not tactically, of course, because those are different sports, but the way some sports handle the mental side of the game can help you. And I sometimes used it in team meetings before a game. So I try to use examples of cycling, or at the moment I think we've seen Roland Garros, and we've seen Djokovic winning in a really tough game, and I think that's one of his qualities, that he can also, when the game is not going his way, he can still find a way to win it. And I think there are those are examples you can use towards players as well. But let's be clear, we were mostly talking about football, and it's not gonna be the situation that players are gonna listen to all kind of other sports. Sometimes I use it, but only if I think it's necessary. We spoke about change just a moment ago. It's a big change behind the scenes as well. You will bring with you your support staff, your coaches. Can you tell us a little bit about them, their personalities, and what they will offer this playing squad and this fan base at Liverpool? Like I just said already, Jürgen left the club in a really good place, left the team in a really good place. I think we have a lot of quality, and the way they played last season was already impressive. So we are going to build from there. Of course, you want to take some people with you as well, because they know who you are, they know your playing style, and they can translate this to the other persons in the staff as well. But if you go to a club like Liverpool, you can assume, and I already noticed that there are a lot of good people working here as well. So we're going to use hopefully the best of both worlds, to implement a few things from us, and to use the knowledge that is inside this club already, because of the 9 years Jürgen and his staff worked here. Yeah, I bring in Sipke Hulshoff, who's been my assistant for a few years now at Feyenoord. I worked with him longer ago. I worked with him at Cambuur Leeuwarden as well. He was the assistant of Ronald Koeman of the Dutch national team as well. But he's going to join me now from the start. A bit older than me, I think, not so much, but a bit older than me. Because we worked together for such a long time, I think the both of us know exactly what we want when it comes to game model, playing style. And I think that helps. Then we will bring in a performance coach as well, who's going to help me and the club with
yeah, how would I put this in English words, with the way we are working on the physicality side, physical side. And I think us three have worked together at Feyenoord for 3 years now, and yeah, we know how we want to work, which is of course normal. And then there's replacement in the goalkeeping staff as well. We've brought in Fabian Atte, who was working at Borussia Mönchengladbach and is still now with the USA team at Copa America. So those are the first positions we filled in, and I think we are still looking for 1 or 2 other positions. And I just said in the beginning of the interview that Richard and me are calling each other a lot, not only about this, but also about the positions we still have to fill in.
Yeah, and recruitment will be a big part of that as well. Has that been part of those?
Just before he obviously starts talking about like the recruitment and stuff like that, it's interesting because he mentioned one staff member there is that he's bringing in the new goalkeeping staff, and obviously we've had the previous one before, and it's just interesting that now we're changing it now. The previous one that we had, when I think about it, obviously that was one of the biggest staff members, I would say, at Liverpool. Obviously behind, your Klopps and Pep Linders and people of that kind of ilk. But when you're thinking about it, like he very good goalkeeper and goalkeeping coach. Ali really wanted him in. So he did. Obviously, he came in, and I feel like has helped Ali into becoming the goalkeeper that he is, today. In certain aspects, getting better at certain things and stuff like that. So interesting that he's bringing in his own one. Hopefully he has the same kind of impact. And then we can move from there.
Those conversations with Richard.
Yeah, and it's also been part of my spending my time in the last few weeks. So of course, if you bring in Fabian, which I didn't know before, you have conversations, meetings with him, together with Richard, and to bring the best possible person in we could find. And I think in the situation of Fabian, we will manage to do that. He's regarded as one of the most interesting goalkeeper coaches there is at the moment. And in the meetings we had, I felt this as well. So still 1 or 2 positions to fill in, and we are talking about this and having meetings about this, of course, as well.
It was a squad that finished on 82 points. You mentioned before it's been left in a good place. So you must feel that it's in a good place to go again and go again strong, this squad. Yeah, definitely. I think 82 points is a result of playing style. Always the points you get is always a result of the way you play. And I've seen many games already. I've seen many training sessions as well. And of course, the fans can see the games, so they know we have some very good players. But I also seen a lot of training sessions already, and I think this is where you bring the culture. And they are always working hard, like the fans see during the game. And real good team, real good players. Managed to be on top for a very long time. But I think in the end, we would all love to see Liverpool a bit higher than the 3rd place. And this is the challenge we are facing now, to build on from what we have. And hopefully, and I have all the confidence in this because of the players, that we can add a few things where we hopefully can get a bit more points than 82, which is necessary with the likes of Arsenal and City, to end up hopefully a bit higher than we did this season. It's fascinating to hear you talk, not just about the fact that you watch so many of the games, but you would even go back and watch training sessions, so that that you dig quite deep into the history of what last season looked back behind the scenes as well. Yeah, there are 2 things to do this. Of course, to get to know more about the players, because mostly you see them during the games, and you want to know also what the culture is, how they train, and what they are used to. And I think it's always interesting if you are the successor of Jurgen Klopp in this situation, and also Pepijn Leijnders, who does quite a bit of work on the training pitch, to see what their ideas were on the training pitch. And I think many successful managers have said this. We all try to steal a bit from each other, and mostly this is done by looking at the games. But if you can see the way they train, that can only help you. But that one thing be clear, the players are not gonna
get all the same exercises again. We will implement our own things, but it's interesting to see what they did also during the week.
What has this period been like for you as the boss in terms of how you speak to players? Do you leave them to their international duties at the moment, or have you reached out to a few of them to find out how they are?
I think I've reached out to a few of them, all of them after Jurgen left, because I thought that was really important to be fair to Jurgen and be fair to the players, because they had to end the season, and I don't think I would be really happy if my successor would have called players before I left the club. So and then I think it's normal to start with the captain, which was Virgil, which was an easy one for me because we could speak Dutch. And from there on, I called a few others, but not many of them, because I think most of them are with in preparation or at this moment playing at the Euros, and some other ones are at the Copa America in preparation. So I think, the best way is to keep a certain distance, but also be interested in them as well, and hoping that most of them, especially the Dutch, will stay as long as possible away, so that they will reach the final. And then afterwards, I will get to meet them, and I think that's a better way of getting to know each other than by phone or by Zoom meetings.
Fixtures for the new season are fresh from being released.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to know which players he obviously spoke to. Obviously, we know it's going to be Virgil. He must have spoke to people like Trent, obviously the Dutch guys, so you're like your Gappos, Gravenberches. Obviously, I'm assuming you would have spoken to them, maybe like your Mo Salahs, probably the heads of the houses. Yeah, I'm trying to say, like the leaders of the pack. I can imagine him speaking to all of those guys. Just to, I mean, because as he said, like, and it was calm, and him doing that is calm, by the way. Like, of course, you're not gonna try and phone a man while your previous bosses, I mean, you lot's previous boss is still there. Like, that don't really make no sense, and it's a bit disrespectful. As he said, he wouldn't like that if someone did that to him. With whoever the new coach of Feyenoord is, he wouldn't want them to be calling, all his players and stuff like that. Whilst he's still technically, within a job. So the fact that he's done that, that part in itself is fine. I mean, I guess, with this whole interview, it really is just a case of, I guess, everybody just looking at it thinking, why did it take so long? But let's finish it up anyway. We ain't got long left.
At least I think it's 7 weeks now before it all gets underway. That will go very quickly, that period. So what are your priorities in that next 7 weeks?
I think in preseason, it's all about getting players fit, and get your game idea, your game model into the players, and therefore we have quite a lot of training time with a few of them, and depends on how far players will go into the tournaments they are playing, how many time there is to work with these players. But like you already mentioned, playing style will not be completely different, but would be strange if we would do exactly similar things, because I'm not although I'm the replacement of Jurgen Klopp, I'm not exactly similar to him. So we try with the players that come in the beginning, which are quite a lot of them already, implement our idea of football as soon as we can, and when the rest comes in a bit later, hopefully the ones who are there already can help us as a coaching staff to that they know what is being expected, and then probably it will go as fast as possible, because we have to be ready at the first game with Ipswich away.
And before that comes the US tour. You'll lead your team in the dugout for the first time in Pittsburgh. You must be excited for that.
Yeah, I think it's always special to have your games. If it's in the United States, from what been told to me, the stadiums were quite full or completely full. That's a special way of starting your career at Liverpool, but especially if you go to a new club, the first time is always special. First time arriving here for the first training session, first time leading a session, and first time leading a game will be special. But the most, of course, I'm looking forward to is leading a game at Anfield. And but we have to wait a while before that happens.
We spoke a little bit about Feyenoord at the start. You must be in a wonderful place mentally now to have left them amongst Europe's elite again. Always probably quite sad to leave a club that you have such a big part in your life, though.
Yeah, I think it was during the interview I said that last season I had the chance to go to the Premier League as well. I decided to stay because I felt that things weren't done yet. When I started there, club was in quite a difficult place. Didn't have a lot of money. Ended up 5th, I think. And we could change that around. And now with 2 successive seasons of Champions League, winning the title once, winning the cup once, I think, and the value the squad has now has been completely different than 3 years ago. I think it's fair to say that that I left Feyenoord in a good place, and I have all the belief that the new head coach over there will do a great job there as well, because he's inheriting a good culture and a very good team as well.
Just that thought though of being at Anfield for the first competitive game, is there something in your mind that just thinks that will be such a special day for you as Liverpool manager?
Yeah, I think it is. Every new club you go to and it's your first home game is special. I remember it being special at Feyenoord, and I'm expecting it to be really special here in Liverpool as well. But like I said, the first thing I'm going to look at is the first training session we have, and then afterwards all the sessions that come after, and the games we will play. And we have to take this really serious to be the best possible team we can be at the first game at Ipswich and the second home game against Brentford.
And they sing "You'll Never Walk Alone," like Liverpool do.
I think that I've always said that there are a few similarities between Feyenoord and Liverpool. It's both our cities alongside the river, so people work in the docks. Docks is, I think, the English word for it. Yeah, it's hard working class fans that appreciate seeing the team, and I think these clubs, these clubs like Feyenoord and Liverpool, from what I saw from it, it just means a bit more for the fans. It just means a bit more if the team does well than at some other places around the world. And this is what I felt at Feyenoord, and I'm expecting to feel the same here at Anfield as well.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to it too. One last job, hopefully, for you, and that is your camera there. It seems like a good way to finish if there's a message from you to the fans. So speak to them direct.
You surprised me a bit on this one. No, I think, like you said, there is a change, but the change hopefully isn't that big, because we still have the same players, we still have the same fans, and if the both of them are going to do the same job, that will make my life a lot more easy. So I'm expecting them to show up again in the upcoming season, and the same for the players. And I will do everything within my interest and power to lead the team in the best possible way.
Very best of luck. We're looking forward to it. Thanks for spending some time with us.
Thank you as well.
Okay, so that little last bit there, that he obviously this means more stuff, like that, the interview was so calm. So you got to that bit, like I don't like all of that. This means more stuff. But I'll be honest with you. I know people are gonna say, yeah, but that's Liverpool and stuff. I get it. I fully get it, and it's ingrained in our ethos. It's our mantra, so to speak. And I do understand that. And listen, you need those kind of clubs, in and around football, kind of thing. But it's just sometimes I feel like people take that and they run with it too far. Sometimes that's what I think annoys me more when I hear it, is that it's like you saying this means more. And by the way, this isn't really at him. This is just more the whole notion behind it. You saying this means more. So what does it mean more if I win 6 Premier Leagues in a row, as an example? Or, I win 4 Premier Leagues in a row, but you win 1. 1 means more than the 4? I can't believe that, because then this notion that we're only in the game for trophies, that from what people have told me anyway, that's what everyone was getting at me for, is that we're in this game to win trophies. That means that can't be true, because you're saying that one team who wins all the trophies, it means more because we win it here. Like, I don't know, man. Like, to me, I always feel like, you see, that kind of stuff, that kind of mentality, I always feel like, without sounding too harsh, to me, it just sounds like you've got a very small mentality, a very small level of ambition, a very small way of thinking. When I hear stuff like that, this means more, and it means more if we do this than it would be if we did that. I feel like it keeps you in a box. That's probably the best way to put it. I feel like it keeps you in this box, and I get it. The working man city and all that, but I'll be honest, couldn't give two shits about it. I'll be so honest with you guys. Like, I don't actually care about that. Has nothing to do with the football that's being played. You know what I mean? Van Dijk isn't playing for the man who works in the docks at Liverpool. It don't work like that. Unfortunately, I know it sounds harsh. It sounds a bit too bullish, which I get, but no one cares. Yeah, just go win the football matches, go win the trophies. That's what we'll care about later on in life. Like I said, I get that you do need these kind of football clubs in and around, football in a general sense. But, Real Madrid are the biggest club, in the world. Don't think they're going to tell you that it doesn't mean more to them. They've just finished winning their, God knows, what is it, 13, 14 for whatever Champions League. What, are we going to say it means more if you win one? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, those kind of things. And again, listen, look, he said it's the same that, like at Feyenoord as well. Which listen, look, like I say, I totally understand, but ultimately, I just always feel you're always going to be put in a box. Like, you're just always going to be put in some type of box. Feyenoord are not the biggest team in England, in Holland. Sorry, it's Ajax. Why are Ajax the biggest teams? Not because they're worrying about this means more. It's because they worry about winning trophies. Champions Leagues back in the day and stuff like that. That's what they're doing. Winning league title after league title after league title. Not worrying about this means more. Manchester United have won the most Premier Leagues. Why? Because they're not worrying about this means more. You get like, it's forget all of that, because then you put yourself in this box where it's like you'll just accept the mediocrity from the jump. And I know it sounds like I'm going a bit too deep with just what he's saying there. And again, it's not even so much that he said it. It's just more, I guess, because we've heard this, come out a lot more, over the last, like, the few weeks towards the back end of the season. Obviously, Trent obviously talking about it and, stuff like that. But, it's these kind of things, small little things, small little prods and pokes that once they get ingrained, you just get used to it. And then you just, like I say, you just accept it. You just accept these kind of things moving forward. And then you will accept one Premier League in 9 years. You will accept a Champions League. Like, you will just accept these kind of things over time because it means more. Because that's the mentality that we've got, not the mentality of, I want to win. I want to win all the damn time. Not saying that he doesn't want to win. Every coach wants to win, right? Of course they do. But they also understand context, and they also understand, like he spoke there, Arsenal, Manchester City are probably two better teams. In fact, they are two better teams, than Liverpool at this current moment in time. So those kind of things, like I say, those little, those little snippets and whatever, I'm like, I don't really like that. But the rest of the interview, I thought was calm. I thought it was calm. Spoke well, I guess. Spoke on a few bits and bobs. It'll be like, now that he's got that interview out of the way, and now everyone can stop crying that we haven't heard from him and stuff like that. At least then, once we get like the real interviews and stuff like that, the real press conferences where they're actually going to really ask him questions and put man under a bit of pressure to see what he's really like, then we can really, get the ball rolling. And then you can start to see what he's, really like as an individual. And I think one of the main things I always say with a player or a manager is, one of the main things I always question, or always want to see, is I wonder what they're like under pressure. Because every coach is going to come under pressure. Guardiola's had pressure at Manchester City. Klopp's obviously had pressure at Liverpool. Mikel Arteta's had pressure, at Arsenal. What are you like under pressure? What are you like in game? Under pressure. What are you like post match? With all the pressure. What how are you? Kind of thing. How do you, how do you take to pressure? Are you someone who folds? Are you someone who everything just crumbles in and around you? Like, again, like I say, I'm just so intrigued to find that out. But like I've said a million times, man, I'm so interested to see, what happens, in the future, man. And next season, I think is going to be a very, very good season. But let's move on to the fixture list. not going to run through this whole thing, to be honest with you. We got our first game away at Ipswich. Should be a very, very interesting game. Is it Portman Road? I think it's Portman Road. Apologies if that's not the correct stadium. I think it's Portman Road. Gonna definitely be rocking 12:30 kickoff. So they're still stiffing us with the 12:30 stuff. So it is what it is. You know, there's nothing we can realistically, do about that. Then we've got Brentford at home. So our first home game for Arne Slot. It's going to be Brentford, then Manchester United away, tricky, and then Nottingham Forest, then at home with Bournemouth at home after that. So when I'm looking at the first 5 games, Ipswich, Brentford, Forest, and Bournemouth, you're saying, that's a good first 5 games for him. Like if we're looking at it, that's a good first 5 games. Like he should be able to look at that and say, yo, at least I should get 4 wins from those first 5 games. At least. The only one that you're going to look at maybe is that Manchester United one. That's the one where you're like, ish, yeah, might be a bit techie, might be a bit, that could go either way, kind of thing. But you're saying at least 4 out of those 5 games get the victories. Get the victories in those games. It will put you on good stead. Get a victory in your first 2 games, bang. Everything just calms down. Everyone's like, cool. Liverpool sitting on 6 points right now. Doesn't really matter about the goals or whatever, like how many, whatever. You're just happy that you're on 6 points at this current moment in time. And then, you can kind of move forward and, move on, with that. Big games got up against Chelsea and then, Arsenal away, Brighton. In fact, I was just about to include, I was going to exclude Crystal Palace, but let's see how Crystal Palace start the season next year. But if we're just basing it off of last season, you're looking at from, October, when you look at it, it's kind of tricky. It's kind of tricky. You know what I mean? Like you've got Palace away, Chelsea at home, Arsenal away, Brighton at home, Villa at home. You've got Southampton away, City at home. That's obviously in November later on. But when we're just looking at the October ones, Palace, Chelsea, Arsenal, throw in the first game in November in Brighton. That's 3-4 tricky games. And then you got Villa again. Yo, those next 5, yeah. Yeah. October could be a month where you're just like, okay, let's see what you're saying. Let's just see what you're saying. I think by then, I think the Champions League would have started. Champions League would have started by then. So rotation and potentially players being injured at this point as well. How does the tactics look? Are we playing well? Are we playing good? Are we just getting the victories and stuff like that? So yeah, gonna be an interesting one. Gonna be an interesting one at that. And then obviously this is just like the second half of the season. First game in 2025, we've got Manchester United. I think we do anyway. No, let me double check that actually. We might have another game just before then. No, it'll be Manchester United. Unless obviously again we advance into the next round of like the Carabao Cup and stuff like that. Yeah, first game will be Manchester United. January. Kind of calm, to be honest. We always usually do have a calm January anyway, but we have got 2 away games, 2 home games in that time. Should be relatively calm if I'm being honest. In fact, it's funny because that beginning of January period, that is the same as our first games of the season, basically, just obviously in different orders. Because Manchester United, Forest, Brentford, Ipswich again, and then we got City. Last game of the season is Crystal Palace at home. So no Wolves this time. Yeah, I mean, like we ain't got no Wolves like we always do. Arsenal, game week 36. Bloody hell. Chelsea. Yeah. Listen, man. I think for me, I'm more looking, obviously, can't look too far ahead, of course. That's all later on in the season. But when I'm looking at like the first few games of the season, like I said, he should be looking at the first few games and saying, I should at least get 4 victories, at least. Like I said, the Manchester United one will be the one where I look at and think, I don't know about that one, because you don't know which Manchester United turns up. So they could beat you, or you could beat them. So it will just depend. But yeah, at least 4 of those games, we should be looking at victories, and then taking it from there. literally taking it, you know, from there. But I guess we'll have to wait and see, man. But people in the chat, let me know what you think about Slot's interview. The good bits, the bad bits, things you obviously that you like, didn't like, the fixture list, you know, in terms of the games that we do have, you know, which games are you guys looking forward to next season? Which games do you think that Arne Slot really does have to, you know, just be careful of and be wary of, you know, next season? Let me know, of course, what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm G. We out, man.